Chicago was snowed under during the Great Blizzard of 1978, and the internet as we know it did not exist. But the first online community was born, and we're going to talk about it on this episode of Totally Tech Retrospectives. What is a bulletin board system? Well, a bulletin board system is simply that, a bulletin board. A place for people to read and write messages. Now, an electronic bulletin board system, like we're talking about here today, allows you to do so much more, such as play text-based games and download files. Now, the first public dial-up BBS was developed by Ward Christensen and Randy Suess. According to an early interview, when Chicago was snowed under during the Great Blizzard of 1978, the two began preliminary work on the Computerized Bulletin Board System, or CBBS. The system came into existence largely through a combination of Ward Christensen's having a spare S100 bus computer and an early Hayes internal modem, and Randy Suess's insistence that the machine be placed at his house in Chicago, where it would be a simple phone call for users to be able to connect to the BBS. Christensen patterned the system after the corkboard of his local computer club, where people used to post information such as, "Need a ride?" The computerized bulletin board system officially went online on the 16th of February, which kept a count of callers, and it reportedly connected 2,503 callers before it was finally retired. In the pre-internet era, most BBSs were run by hobbyists on personal computers with modems connected to dial-up telephone lines. Usually only one person could call and use the BBS at a time, although some multi-line BBSs existed. In today's world, dial-up phone lines are scarce, and we have the internet. Most BBSs now utilize the Telnet protocol for connections, although some dial-up BBSs still exist. Gaming was, and still is, a big part of the BBS scene, and in 2021, there is still some great gaming to be had on BBSs that you can't get anywhere else. Classic BBS door games like Trade Wars 2002, Legends of the Red Dragon, Solar Realms Elite, and Operation Overkill 2. And they still attract many players. And now, let's talk about how to connect to a BBS in 2021. So, to connect to a BBS in 2021, you need one of two things: a terminal with an available phone line to be able to dial into a BBS that still supports dialing in, or a modern computer with a modern internet connection and terminal software. And that's what we have here, a modern computer with modern terminal software. And the first piece of software I'm going to show you is SyncTerm. And here we are. And it is as simple as it looks. And for those old school Windows users out there, or old school PC users I should say, you'll definitely recognize the DOS era style interface. Now, from here, all we have to do is go through the list and select the BBS we want to connect to. In this case, we are going to connect to the one at the top, because it works, First Choice Core, located in New Zealand. And as you can see, it loads up, and here we are, immediately connected to the BBS. Now, I could go through the process of logging in, or creating an account in this case, and going through that whole setup process, but that can take some time. This video is just about how to connect to a BBS. Once you've connected yourself, you can play around and figure it out for yourself, if you will. Now, the other piece of software I'd like to show you is just as easy, but works a little differently. Let's look at Putty. Now, Putty is a simple tool that's free as well, and it allows you to connect to BBSs and also allows you to manage network hardware and other such devices, which is one of its primary uses in today's day and age. But we're just going to connect to a BBS, and in fact we are going to connect to Heatwave port.ddns.net. And we are going to make sure to input the correct port number in order to connect. And we are going to select Other. And we have it set to Telnet because we want to connect to a Telnet, a BBS over Telnet. Now we're going to click Open. And as you can see, welcome to the Heatwave BBS, Houston, Texas. And it is that simple. That is how you connect to a modern BBS in 2021. Cheers.